This Caddo Parish work session meeting to order September the 19th. Roll call, please, Mr. Hopkins.
Dominic.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Jackson. Lynn. Bowman.
Present.
Cawthorn. Gage
Present.
Watts.
Here.
Middleton.
Here.
Atkins. Chavez.
Here, sir.
Smith. Epperson.
Thank you.
We have a quorum, sir.
We will have the invocation by Commissioner Bowman and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Atkins. Everyone please stand.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for just allowing us to have the opportunity to be here, Lord. Lord, just we ask for forgiveness of sins. Father God, I ask you just reach out upon everyone here, even us who are making decisions. Guide us, Lord, to help us to be in your will. Help us to, again, as always, to agree to disagree if we have to. And Lord, help us to all remember and work toward our purpose, God, and help us to be productive and progressive along the way. It's in these and other blessings we entrust in your Son, Jesus' name, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Face the flag and put your hand over your heart or render the proper salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any agenda additions? I do not see any agenda additions. Are there any citizens' comments? Any citizen, every citizen has the right to address the commission body for 3 minutes for anything that they would like. I do not see any citizens' comments. I'll go back to Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I would like to move to englobo items 6 through.
But
Yeah.
Commissioner Stormy, may we wait until we get to new business?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sounds
like a good idea, though.
She's ready to get out of here.
I second.
He was speaking prophetically.
I see no citizens' comments. We'll move on to visitors.
Visitors, we have Mr. Mark Sweeney, MPC Executive Director, to present Master Plan update.
All right, that'll be on Thursday.
Not seeing him.
Today? It was, yeah, we decided to do it today.
All right. Next item,
Can we do
please.
something with that?
On Thursday.
Okay, next we move to Administrator's Report.
Hang on, I got a question.
Go ahead, excuse me.
So,
Yeah,
he was supposed to be
Commissioner.
here today, it's just, I guess, off the agenda for right now.
Right.
Okay. We need to, guess, contact him, find out where he was, or,
Yeah, so you have in your boxes today a letter I wrote last week to Mr. Sweeney asking to be here on a work session of regular meetings from here on out.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You
Okay.
did address it.
yeah, we got a copy of it.
Yes.
I
They must be
represent-
busy.
That's
Something
wonderful.
happened.
I mean, I couldn't go up there and have the
He's been on the
sheriff
fire.
escort him downstairs.
That's
You
not
don't
like
do
him,
that.
so something, he must be busy or something.
All right, next item.
Okay, next, Administrator's Report.
Okay, yes, sir. I do have a couple of things, Commissioners and President Lynn. Just an update on the NLCOG meeting we had held here on the 9th of September in the chamber, talking about the routes, proposed routes for the I-49. And to our dismay and disappointment, Providence Engineer had ran into a snag relative to one of the parks in the proposed route path. So we couldn't go forward because the federal government requires you to do an analysis on that park. And it was an item that the Providence Engineer could not overcome within time to do the formal presentation for us. But what you have before you is a handout from that meeting that talked about the steps and where we are. And I spoke with Shelley Regal today in the Parks and the SPAR. She said they've already done what they're supposed to do in terms of the park to help Providence get beyond that barrier towards moving things forward. And my next question is to the NLCOG, that being the case, would it expedite things? Because what we were told in the meeting is that they will be back at the end of the year, in which we were all disappointed that it's taking so dang long to do it. So anyway, I'm hoping that since things are moving along pretty quickly with this process, and it had to do with the Swepco Park. We're sending the handout, and you'll see it if you read page 8, I believe, in the handout. So that was an obstacle. That what prevented us from moving forward with receiving the proposed routes and probably taking some action on it. So more to come on that, but I want you to be aware of it. And also, during that time, we looked at a thoroughfare plan. We selected ACOM Engineering Company to put forth a thoroughfare plan that would address transportation needs throughout the parish, and thank those folks who contributed to that effort. And the engineering firm ADCOM, which consists of Burke Klein Peter, Franklin Associates, Dudley Worldwide, and EJES Company, will be working on that project to do a thoroughfare plan for the entire region. Okay, so we did vote on that on the 9th of September. Okay, the next item I have for you is just a reminder. We have the budget retreat set up for, we have two. Some commissioners expressed that they couldn't get here on the 23rd, so we selected another date, the 21st, which is Wednesday, and then we'll have another meeting with the commissioners that can attend on Friday. And I'd like to encourage you to attend because it's more than just a budget presentation. We want to talk to you about a strategic plan going forward to address some long-term funding for capital projects as well. And also, we have something we want to broach with you all. Looking ahead at millage renewals, we're trying to anticipate all these things happening. So we want to kind of lay out this modern board for you of different things that we would want you to consider and need your consideration for. So it's just not merely the budget process, but that will be the primary focus of it, with some additional things that we'll hand out to you as well. So that concludes my report today, unless anybody have anything for me to answer back to you.
Yes, Commissioner Jackson's on the board.
Appreciate the update, Dr. Wilson. Swepco Park, I heard you say you talked to Shelley Rago at the city of Shreveport.
Yes, sir.
Do you know if there is equipment over there, or have they removed equipment, or, because I've heard some, that of course is in my district, so.
She told me today that they had full intentions on closing that park anyway. And this will expedite things, of course.
No. My question is the equipment over there, or have they equipment?
I will have to find that out, sir. I don't know the answer to that.
Because I was over there right around, because this time last year I was going door to door, meeting with folks, and I was over there at Swepco Park at least 3 times, one for a reunion that neighborhood has. But you said she said that they had every intent to close that park.
Yes, sir. It's underutilized park that they were going to shut down.
Is there any definition of what underutilized is, or?
That's her wording, sir. I will have to get that clarification from her. But needless to say, that was one of the barriers that prevented a proposed route selection. And somehow when you close a park, the federal government want to know what analysis you use to replace that park that you closed somewhere else within that area.
Do you know when the last time they updated the equipment over there?
No, sir. I'll have to ask Shelley on that, but I can find out.
Can you take a note on that?
Yes, sir.
To find out when was the last time they update. When will you get back with Shelley?
I can let you know as soon as we get out of here, if she's still here.
Okay. Would like to know when was the last time they updated the equipment on the park. Also, what was the maintenance, at least the 3 or 4 year history of the maintenance of the park as well.
Okay.
And also wanted to see, had they met with residents in that area about the park.
We'll ask those questions.
So,
But I know the engineering analysis have to address those impact on the community before the federal government would approve the closing of that park. All that had to be answered.
well, if you, and I want to be specific on this question,
Yes, sir.
did they meet with the residents
Right.
of that area?
Right.
And if so, is there documentation of them meeting with
Okay.
those residents?
We'll actually that and Providence Engineering and see what their answers are.
She said they had already planned this prior to the route announcement or whatever, the proposed route announcement.
Yes. Now, what I'm hearing is at the park is not that, it's not being used.
But they said the swimming pools in certain areas weren't being used, but that's because the kids didn't know how to swim.
No.
So it would be kind of assumed or understood that it would be underutilized, those pools. And so if you don't update the equipment and cut the grass at the park, it might be assumed that it would be underutilized there. But if you could get those questions for us,
Yes, we will.
appreciate you, Doc.
Okay.
That's everything?
Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, Dr. Wilson, I mean, we had the same situation in segment right before between Highway 1 and MLK. You had the segment that the proposed Paul Lynch Park and the wetlands that they had to avoid and all that. So, I mean, already having a history of knowing about proposed parks or parks that are active or not inactive, and also about the wetlands, why did it come back again? And this has been around since 1973. Did they have any answer for this?
No, sir, but it makes sense what you're saying. I just don't know whether Providence Engineering did the engineering work along that corridor or not.
Okay.
That's-
Well, I mean, even if they didn't do it, the
Right.
city had knowledge of
Oh, yeah.
parks
Right.
being on the other segment that's
Right.
at the MLK exit
Right.
and entrance. So why would that prior knowledge come into factor now, and knowing that you got this Swepco Park and you can't do this here,
Right.
and they could let the engineering company know that, and then you could have avoided all this in the get-go.
That's true. I agree with you. We were extremely disappointed that a park delayed the selection process of the road, roads route. I mean, they should anticipate that. long
That's
before
what
now.
I'm saying, you know, with the,
Yeah,
the
we
other
were
park.
all disappointed that was overlooked, or whatever the reason for it not being done.
What about the wetland?
Is that,
That's it, thank you.
thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Administrator Wilson, the thoroughfare plan that you discussed, do you have a copy of that as far as how far y'all have gone as in writing?
No,
in your
sir.
email?
There's no plan yet. We just selected an engineering company on September 9th to go forward and develop a plan.
Okay, will you send me any email or documentation as far as the engineering plan, who's doing the study, their subcontractors, what everybody's role is?
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Doctor, I just want to check on the lane to make it wider, the four-way that you were going to speak with for NLCOG over on Florida Lucas in our district, myself and Commissioner. Had they made any headway with that, or do we have any information on what's going on with that?
I don't today, sir, but I can have Mr. Rogers come before us the next time and update you on that. That'd
Perfect.
be appropriate.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay,
That's all, President.
Thank you, Commissioner Chavez. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, Dr. Wilson. Also, when you check with Shelley in the city of Shreveport, could you find out what is their intent? There was some bond money. I want to say way back in the early 2000s, probably right at 2000, 2001-ish or so. But there was some bond money for a community park or recreation center. I think the city council maybe 2 years ago deemed that the park, they're using the money for either a park or a center was not feasible, but they would use it for quote unquote recreation activity. Could you find out what the present intent of that bond money is being utilized for? There you go. Just want to leave that out as well. Appreciate it.
Okay. And if we may, I see that Mr. Mark Sweeney, the MPC Executive Director, is here. If we could go ahead and allow him to make his presentation now. Excuse me, pardon me. Administrator Wilson, is there anything else on your agenda? You're done. Commissioner Dominic?
Yeah, I move that we allow Mr. Sweeney to make his presentation now at this time.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote.
I told y'all he was gonna come.
I do.
All right, well, thank you. One of the things that we had talked about in conversations with several of the parish commissioners was the need to have a periodic update on where we're
That
going
passes.
with the master
Go ahead.
plan.
I said it passed. If you can speak, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, sorry, jumped the gun. So the idea is to give you kind of where we're progressing in that area of the implementation of the master plan. Now, I know a lot of you were not on this body when the plan was initially done back in 2010, when it was adopted in 2010. A lot of the players are no longer involved, but a lot of community effort went into creating the master plan that was both approved and adopted by the City Council and the Parish Commission. Now, 6, almost going on 7 years ago. So, you know, the public's money was spent significantly on that project. You know, over $1.5 million was placed into that project to make it a reality. And so how you determine whether or not your investment has been good is what have you accomplished in that time period. And so what we're trying to do now is go back and reassemble the components to see where we are as a benchmark on both the long-range goals and objectives as well as the what I call short-term goals and objectives. And that is one of the tasks that's been given to this master plan subcommittee. Now, for those of you who are not as familiar with what the master plan subcommittee is, it was created back many years ago as part of the master plan. And there's representation from both the Parish Commission, 2 members, Commissioner Jackson and Commissioner Matthew Lynn are on there for this year. And then there's also 2 representatives from the City Council, Councilman Jeff Efferson and Councilman Fleury are on there, along with 4 members of the MPC board that also compose that body. So they meet every month just to kind of take a pulse or to see where things are happening in terms of the master plan and whether or not we're actually accomplishing those goals. Right now, an effort in our meetings has been to come up with a summary report that will tell you where we've accomplished some things and where some things have changed. There are some of the goals and objectives that, because of the economy being different back in 2010, are now different today. And some of them just kind of fell off because they're no longer viable issues or factors. And in some cases, a great deal of progress has been made on various objectives and goals in the master plan. What we plan to do is to provide you with that report as this committee, this subcommittee is working on that. When we come to the point of finalizing that report, we will make certain that each and every one of you gets a copy of that so that you yourself can see, well, we did accomplish this, or we did do this. Have we done 50% or just 20% of the goals and objectives that were approved back in 2010? Probably one of the most significant components of that entire document, though, is this, is the Unified Development Code. If the Unified Development Code is approved by both the City Council and the Parish Commission, it basically represents probably 40% of the goals and objectives within the document. That's why it's so significant, along with all the other activities that are going on. And just not to belabor this, you've got to understand it's not just the city and the parish working on goals and objectives officially, but it's also separate citizen groups that are out there doing different things, helping to accomplish those goals. Private efforts, private organizations that are actually complementing what we're doing. So it's actually a team effort between the city, the parish, and the private citizens. And that's why it's so important. So that is the purpose of this master plan subcommittee, is to monitor that and to give you a feedback on the report of where we're going and what we've accomplished. One of the things that they want to accomplish as well is to reactivate what we call a citizen or community advisory group. I don't know if any of y'all remember, there was a group called CAG, and that represented a series of different representatives throughout the community from different elements of the community that would serve as a sounding board for ideas and initiatives for the community. Well, unfortunately, as y'all all know, as time goes by, things kind of fall to the wayside, okay? And that happened a long time ago. It just kind of went fallow. Now one of the initiatives of the Master Plan Subcommittee is to reactivate that group. And the reason why is that important? That would mean that you as a body, if you wanted to float an idea or a concept or maybe a major change, you could send that information to the CAG or the Citizen Advisory Committee, and you could get immediate feedback from them representing a spectrum of all different groups of people throughout the community. And we don't have that right now. And we think it would be valuable to reactivate that. And that's one of our goals in this committee or in this report effort that we're trying to do. I mentioned to you about the Unified Development Code already. I wanted to bring you up to date. I don't, if you've not seen this, but I'm going to bring you kind of full circle as of where we're at. We have now spent over 16 months of public input on this new document. Back on September 1, you all, within the last week or so, received a new copy of the third draft of that document. It has all the changes in it that were the culmination of all the public input, all the civic organizational input, the neighborhood association input. All of the groups that are actively involved in the community have provided us feedback for over 16 months. And this document that you've gotten a copy of, that's highlighted in yellow where the changes have occurred since the last draft. The last draft was December of 2015. I urge you to read that and to look at it because it will show you the progress we've made with different organizations, businesses, as we've reached what I call a compromise on a lot of the key issues and concerns that have been expressed. I would also like to encourage you to attend two very important public hearings that are going to be coming up. September the 29th at 6 p.m. in this chamber will be the first public hearing on the Unified Development Code by the MPC Board. At that meeting, I will present to you, I'll give you an overall view and presentation of what the UDC is about and what it's going to mean. And then there'll be opportunities for the public and for citizens, all the citizens that wish to come up, make public comments, ask questions. There'll be discussion. The whole intent of that meeting on the 29th of September, which is, by the way, a Thursday, will be the opportunity to hear from the public again about the proposed Unified Development Code. The second public hearing that I also encourage you to be in attendance to is October the 18th. On October the 18th, the MPC Board will hold another public hearing at 6 p.m. in this council chamber. And it's at that meeting, after review and discussion and comments, that the board, the MPC Board, will officially take a vote on recommending the UDC to you, the Parish Commission, and the City Council. So in other words, the document will officially come into your hands for your review and consideration, hopefully in November, December timeframe. There's a lot of things that there's a lot of information that I'm sure that you would like to have access to. We have that on the website. If you go to ShreveportCaddoUDC.com, we have a copy of the proposed zoning map as well as the entire document. Also opportunities for people to leave comments. I also want to remind you that we've gone to all the 11 libraries in the library system and have taken a hard copy of this same document so that the citizens can look at it if they don't have access to a computer. What I also want to emphasize to you in this report is that you remember when I had the one-on-one meetings with all of y'all?
Yes, sir.
I want you to understand that if you want to have a follow-up one-on-one with me and my staff, we are available and open to you to do so. In other words, if a new question comes up, don't wait to the last second when all the issues begin to pile up or something. Come to us directly, and we will reach out to you, and we will actually set up a meeting with you to go over any issue you have. It's very important that you understand all the elements of this because you're going to get a lot of misinformation. That's just normal anytime you do something like this. There's a lot of folks who claim they know a lot, but they only know so much. They just know enough to be dangerous, as the old saying goes. Our purpose here is to be straightforward and honest with you, and if you want an answer to your question and you want to meet with us for another hour or whatever length of time you want to meet, wherever and whenever, we are available to do that. And the only other thing I want to mention is that this Master Plan Subcommittee meeting group that meets every month has been very productive. One of the first major initiatives that came out of that was the Caddo Parish Bicycle Plan, which you guys officially adopted just a few weeks ago. That came through that committee and to initiate that and to push that forward. The other things that have happened is we've starting to develop guidelines for historic preservation for the city of Shreveport. And of course, you've also already reviewed and approved the new site plan review and approval process that I presented to you back a few months ago. That also came through this committee. This committee is very valuable because it serves as a point where both bodies, all three bodies, can come together and find unity and direction as which way they want to go, and to be able to bring that back to the respective bodies of either the City Council or the Parish Commission for approval for initiatives and projects. And that kind of gives you an overview of what we do. It's what Stephen Jackson and Matthew Lynn attend on a regular basis. And it is, I think, again, a valuable tool to keep us aware of where we're going and to make certain we accomplish the goals the public intended for us to. And I'm certainly available for any questions that you may have or comments that you might want to make.
Commissioner Atkins.
Oh, thank you. Quick question, just how would you say the UDC is being accepted by the development community currently?
Very well. In fact, the reality is that when we had you guys, along with the City Council, approve the new procedures for site plan review and approval, they were elated because they knew that was a key component of the UDC, and they can see the value in that. And so far, that is working out very well for them. So I would be presumptuous to tell you that there's 100% agreement on everything. I don't think there ever is. There never is between a husband and wife, much less to expect it on a document. But the reality is that we've gotten an awful lot of positive feedback from the development community as well as from the business community. And so far, we're seeing much more positive than we are any type of negative criticism of what we're trying to do.
You think this will be a positive step for bringing outside development dollars into our community?
If I had to tell you one thing, there's a lot of reasons to approve this document, but I think the single most important thing is that we're in a very competitive world economically today. It's more so than ever before. You can't rest on your laurels anymore on anything. And Shreveport and Caddo Parish have always been at a little bit of a disadvantage for the last several years. And we're always kind of running behind. And it's because when developers come to us from around the country, they look at our documents, they look at our regulations, and they don't quite understand why we're not up to par. And there's a lot of confusion and a lot of trepidation about whether to invest or not. And the UDC will create an even playing field for the first time. We'll be able to compete with anybody. And we'll be able to offer tools that everybody else has been offering for years. And when the development community sees that, they begin to realize the investment is easier to do so, and they're incentivized to provide investment here. So my point is that if it doesn't change anything, it's going to change that. And I get so tired of hearing people say to me, well, we can do that over in Bossier City. And I'm like, well, that's because they've had a UDC for 13 years. And our UDC will be better than theirs because ours is going to be more contemporary, more up-to-date, and more innovative. Right. Now, they're going to have to catch up with us.
Thank you. Thank you, President Lane.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Bowman.
He covered it in his presentation.
He got mine too. Commissioner Jackson.
I see Ken shaking his head back there, so I guess that's a good thing. Mark,
yes, sir.
As I've always said, I don't envy your job. You are a subject matter expert who have to present this information to political bodies and folks who think they are political bodies. But I commend you and your staff for all you've done on the UDC, as well as making sure our master plan is moving along. We come up once a month and sit with you to go over that master plan. I had a question for you. When was the current land use ordinance that we use now, the one that's been patched together, do you have an approximate when was that put into place?
If this body and the city council approves the Unified Development Code along with the proposed zoning map that goes along with it, and if y'all were to do it by, November, December timeframe, it would take us about 3 months to implement the new code. What we would do, and we do this because it's much more user-friendly. Anytime you have this major of a change, you don't just turn the switch on the next day. You have what I call a transition period, where we educate the public, the developers, elected officials to understand what the new procedures are going to be. Plus, I have to train my staff to operate the new code. Because all of a sudden, the city and the parish won't be separate in terms of their code. They're going to be one code. And all codes apply to, this code applies to everything, everywhere, within our metropolitan planning area. So the reality is it will take, I would say roughly April 1st would be the switch on date for the new code. Because we need that much time to build up, to educate, and to transition so that people will be able to understand and operate all the new bells and whistles, is what I might say.
I appreciate that background, but my question was when was the one that we're operating under now?
Oh.
When was it?
1957.
Wow.
That's what's so sad. We're literally 60-year mark, guys.
Wow.
And that's why I said, if we don't do this,
Let's do it die.
it's like, I don't know what to tell you after that, to be honest with you, because it's been patched together there's been like 400 or 500 amendments to the document, but it's like you go through it and you go, well, this doesn't work and this conflicts with that, and it'll say this, and then the sentence will stop in midstream over here, and it has been patched together so bad. And I always make the reference, it's like a tire when you go and you've patched it, and finally the guy at the tire shop says, you can't put a patch on this anymore. It won't hold one.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you see the current zoning ordinances and land use ordinances that we operate under? How do you see that? Because there's this, and I believe Commissioner Carthon went to the dinner, the reconciliation dinner, but there was a piece in the Times that talked about these two Shreveports that obviously exist.
Yes, sir.
How do you think? And I'm just asking your opinion, and if you don't feel comfortable answering.
Well, no, part of this purpose of this code is to be fair and equitable. And it encourages investment in every quadrant of the city and the parish. And when we were doing the zoning map, we went to great lengths to make certain areas that have been neglected for so long have the appropriate zoning so that when a developer comes in and wants to do something, we're ready to work with them. So we've been very aware of the fact that even though development along the edges is very important too, the very center part of all of this is redeveloping the inner core. And that's where the vitality of the community is gonna be right there. And so this code makes things fair and equitable, and it makes everything on the same playing field so that all people and all businesses that wish to invest in our community have a good opportunity to do so. If you know me very well, I don't play favorites, and I don't believe in that. And if a big developer comes in or a small developer comes in, I'm going to treat them the same. I realize the big developer has a lot more options, a lot more to do, and can do more. And that's a lot more intricate and complex. But as far as the fairness factor is concerned and treating everyone the same, with respect and with the opportunity to help them realize their goals and their dreams for what they want to do here, that's the heart and soul of the UDC.
And so my final question is, what do you say to the developer who may want to put something up on Jewelry? They say, well, now your new UDC, if adopted, this requires me to put all kind of trees, landscaping, and this, that, and the other.
Right.
I mean, if I wanted to do that, I could just go to Uri Drive or Line Avenue or Southern Loop.
Right.
If I want, how do?
Well, most businesses know that they have to do a certain amount of upfront investment. It's just the way business is done across the United States.
I'm hearing a lot of argument about is gonna turn people off.
Yes,
from investing.
the idea is what we're trying to express to people is that if you put things in the right way, because it's not fair that the Circle K on this side of town looks this way and the one over here looks this way.
Right.
And so the reality is that if you invest appropriately, the return on your money, it's proven factually that if you do it the right way with landscaping, you would get more bang for your buck and a higher rate of increase in the value of your properties. That's just a proven fact through all the studies that have been done.
You're not making that up.
Right, and I'm not making it up at all, because the truth of the matter is that it is appropriate. And again, I will explain to you, these are minimal standards. They're not meant to be excessive standards. We're a little higher than what we were from the old code, but we're not so high as it make it unaffordable. And the reality is there's so many different ways to do things that if someone wishes to make an investment in various parts of the community, they still have that opportunity, but we still have our standards where we say, okay, we want you to come in and we want you to make the building look good and we want you to landscape it because that's what the people live here. This is their neighborhood. It's an investment in not only in your business, it's an investment in the people that live in that neighborhood. And that's a key thing that the Unified Development Code strives for.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Is it true for me to say that some of the UDC stuff is already being implemented?
Not really. We often, I'll tell you where it comes to play a lot of times is that when we're trying to make a decision, especially with the Zoning Board of Appeals, we'll often make reference to the fact that if someone's asking for a variance in parking, that will say, just for your information, if the Unified Development Code was approved, this is what it would require in parking for this facility. But we let the ZBA make their judgment call based upon the current ordinance. But we like as a point of comparison. But we're not implementing anything from the UDC right now other than the site plan procedures that y'all have already approved ahead of time, which was the new procedure that allowed for administrative approval rather than having to go before the board. Now, that was adopted back several months ago, and that's one of the elements out of the UDC that's already being utilized.
Okay. Because I've gotten quite a few complaints from builders and property owners saying that things have changed, and it seems as if y'all are already utilizing the UDC. One is one I talked to you about earlier, is that church that's trying to build a new church, and they was told that they had to put in a parking lot, and by putting in that parking lot, it totally kills their budget. So now they're still stuck in wood frame church that's falling apart around them, as opposed to building a new building and then being able to tear that one down. The other one happened last regular session. There was a couple here, and we tried to get somebody down here, but nobody was available. But they have a 5-acre tract, over 5-acre tract of land. They stay in a trailer right now, and they're actually building a brick structure. Well, from your office, they was told that they had to go through double occupancy, had to rezone it, and at a cost of $2,700. And all this stuff is supposed to make things easier and smoother to happen, but it seems like to me now it's becoming more and more red tape. And the builders couldn't quite understand it, the homeowners couldn't quite understand it, especially when they have a document that says from their bank that they won't get the mortgage loan until that trailer is moved, so they'll never have a double occupancy. But your office is going to force them to do a double occupancy in order to build a structure, which is additional cost that they hadn't budgeted for or planned for. And so I think, some of the stuff that we're talking about is actually hurting, and I do know that you'll have growing pains whenever you change something or anything like that, but at the same time, this transition should be going to a factor in which we already got plants that's already out there that have a trailer house, and they didn't do all this double occupancy type deal. So, you know, when they can go back and say, well, this being done right here and it's being done over here, but now you forcing me to do it and then delaying the building, because now it won't even come on the agenda until November. So they probably can't even get started until December sometime. And, you know, that kind of discourages people. And these people moved from Bossier Parish over to Caddo, thinking that it was going to be much easier to get done. And it's actually much harder. So, you know, that's just two observations. And the third one, which I always tell you about, is having to put a sprinkler system in the parking lot. You know, and why you just couldn't require them to have evergreen plants that Mother Nature takes care of when it rains, and they stay evergreen year round. I mean, you have medians that have grass in it and have trees that grow in it and evergreen that nobody go by and water. So why put this in a parking lot that you got to have a sprinkler system, which then costs that organization additional money because they had to pop a panel out of the street, and it had to be done by a professional company because they had fiber optics down there, and once you mess up some fiber optics, that's big money. So, and then even with all of that, where they had marked the water line, the city, the water line wasn't even there. So they just spent additional $6,000 to pop a panel to hook up to water, and the water line is not even there. So, I mean, it's just those complaints on top of the other ones that I'm getting in that this is not, something is wrong. And maybe it's an educational piece that needs to happen or something, but, you know, it's just these complaints are just piling up. And, you know, it's in my district today, it might be in somebody else's district tomorrow, but,
Sure.
I mean, these are just issues that are just popping up. So,
Well, I can answer those for you, and I think it would, and I think it's, you know, I understand your concern, but you got to understand that almost everything you've mentioned, with the exception of one or two items, is under the current code, not under the UDC. And you got to remember something. Under the UDC, well, right now under our current code, you have to go for every mobile home. You have to go to the ZBA to get approval, whether it's in the parish or in the city.
to put one in.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And
This is already there.
Right.
Just to leave out.
But also it has to do with what we call secondary residence, which you call double occupancy. There's another set of red tape regulations related to that are in the current ordinance. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that under the UDC, we remove that. You don't have to go to ZBA anymore for approval of your mobile home. And the secondary residence requirement is taken away. So what I'm trying to say is the UDC will actually improve that situation dramatically, where you're not having to go through this loop of red tape that you're talking about. Because what you just explained is all in the current ordinance, not a bit of it is in the UDC.
But they must have been enforcing it the last 5 years.
Well, but you got to understand something. I'll bring you back on this one. This is before my time.
Right.
Y'all, about 3 or 4 years ago, it used to be the way I explained it, where you didn't have to go to the ZBA.
Right.
But then you changed it to that. And that's why we don't, and I agree with you, I don't care for that setup. But that's why it's been structured about 4 years ago. The city council and the parish commission approved those changes that require the ZBA approval of mobile homes. And I think it's a tremendous waste of time. And I agree with you on that. And that's why when we were designing the UDC, we took that out. Because we said that's not really workable anymore. So I can understand the grief and the concern over the red tape, because that's what we have to enforce, which is not really what we want to have to do. But you're right. Some people got in before those rules were approved 4 years ago.
They were grandfathered.
And so that's why when you walk out the street, you go, well, they got it. Why can't I get it? Well, that's because the rules changed 4 years ago. And then we have to enforce the new rules, and it looks unfair. So it's what's the old saying? You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because basically there's no way we can win that situation because we have to follow the new regulations.
Well, to my understanding, that rule basically applied to if someone was bringing in a
Right. But there's...
But not if they was actually building a structure on.
But the rules right now say that if you have an existing structure and you put a mobile home next to it, you have to ask for a secondary residence, even though you may be taking down one of the structures. It's crazy, but that's the way it's worded now. We don't have that wording in the UDC. That's why I'm such a big proponent of the UDC, because it's going to take away some of this red tape and confusion that you're talking about. And I agree with you that it doesn't make a lot of sense. But the old saying is, I have to enforce the rules that are given to me or what have been approved, and sometimes I totally disagree with those rules, but I don't have any choice. And so Alan Clark has to go out there and has to be the guy who's the bearer of bad news and say, you can't do this and you can't do that, but we have to live with those.
All right, then I got one last one
Uh-huh.
that's been a thorn in my side ever since I've been elected, and that's affordable fence on North Lakeshore Drive,
Uh-huh.
which has been to court and all that, but it still sits there. It still has grass that's probably come up to my waist,
Uh-huh,
and it has broke down vehicles there.
right.
The roof is caving in on the building. At one point in time, they was digging a hole to put a whole bunch of trash in.
Mhm.
I ended up calling the EPA on that
Mm-hmm.
to stop them from doing that. So, I mean, what can be done by that? Because right now, it's just sitting there, and it's got a residence on one side, it's got a fire department on the other side, and it's on the main thoroughfare going into the neighborhood.
A lot of that sounds like property standards related issues, which of course would be something they would have to initiate. If there's a zoning violation, which some of that sounds like it may be, that is certainly something that Alan Clark could look into and do citations to the property owner and require them to make changes. If they don't make the changes, we take them to court, to district court, and pursue the process that way. But a lot of what you just said is property standards. Yeah.
It's been through court, it's been zoned for that, it can't be rezoned.
Well, and not knowing the property, you gotta bear with me, I'm not real familiar with the piece of property you're talking about.
This one is a,
Yeah, I've seen it, but I'm not familiar with in terms of who owns what and what the zoning is. It's possible the zoning is industrial zoning, and there may be some things in there that allows them to do a lot of stuff, and so it would be something we'd have to look into. But oftentimes, there's a fine line between us and property standards. If it has to do with a violation to the code, we can do something that. But if somebody is putting junk or letting grass grow, they have to go to property standards on that one. But we work in conjunction with them on those issues. But we can't, my organization can't enforce the property standards, and they can't enforce the zoning code. But we do work together on that.
well, I wanna look at getting it rezoned, or rezoned back to what it should be.
Okay.
Instead of what it is.
And it's possible.
It's been through court, or still in
Really?
court, from our Public Works Department, that, it's been there for a while, so.
Yes.
It's been through all the different phases, 3 or 4 different ways, Department of Health, the constables, JPs, been through all of that.
Okay.
So, right now, it's just to the point that it needs to either be rezoned back to what it was, or do something else, because it's terrible.
Okay. Well, that's something we certainly could look into for you.
All right, thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Is that everything, Commissioner Johnson? I encourage any commissioner that's not 100% behind the UDC or anyone that has any questions to please contact the MPC office and speak with Mr. Sweeney or somebody in the staff to either answer your questions or to advocate for whatever changes you want in reference to making the UDC something that you're willing to vote in favor of. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, Mr. Sweeney.
Yes, sir.
Can you, or would you, maybe in an email or something, kind of provide the commission with an update on the latest, or I don't know if you want to do it through your attorney or whatever, because that was my other reason for asking you to come down. There were some things going on, and I don't know if you want to get with our attorney or Dr. Wilson or somebody, but I like to kind of be in the know.
Sure.
As opposed to reading it and hearing it in the news.
I understand.
I
often find myself in the same position.
I'm not advocating that we make the decisions for
Sure.
y'all, but at least keep us advised and abreast of just the developments that's going on. And I don't think, at least I have not had an opportunity to hear your side of what all has been going on.
Sure.
So if you could at some point get us something.
Sure.
I have heard the other folks' side, and I understand their issues.
Right.
But there's always two sides to a story, so
There
if
is.
you could do that for us.
You bet. And you know, as we're going into all of this, and I'm not going to go into details, but budgets are always a strange animal, and they're a challenge. And the city council has made some decisions just in the last couple of weeks that have changed the dynamics of what we were dealing with already. And so, and of course, there's the budgetary elements that I need probably to address with you as a board, as a body as well, because I know y'all provide a certain percentage of our subsidy for the MPC, and so there's a lot of moving parts here, and it's complicated, and sometimes when it's put out there into the public and the media misinterprets a lot, and that's what I meant earlier when I said you're going to get a lot of misinformation from a lot of people, and that's unfortunate, but y'all know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I mean, you try to do something right, and you try to be upfront, and you still get criticized. And we all get done that way, no matter what we do, right? And but you know, if you're honest and you're on focused and you're doing what's best for the community, the people are going to know that. They are.
I mean, if you could slip a note to Dr.
Sure.
Wilson and have him put it in our box or something, but would definitely
Sure.
like to hear it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hopkins, that's everybody.
Next, we have communiques and committee reports.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, President Lynn. I just want to make sure that the NGO committee saw the recent note that we'll be meeting on Wednesday, September 28th at 10:30 here in the conference room behind the horseshoe here. If anyone has any questions ahead of time, please let me know. We've been working with the staff to get a list of NGOs in place and try to understand the total number of monies being requested and how that fits with the budget. And we can talk about all that in detail during the meeting. Thank you.
That's Wednesday, September the 21st?
28th.
28th,
At
thank
what
you.
time?
10:30 a.m. Obviously, a.m. obviously.
Night meeting.
Thank you. I see no one else on the board.
President's report.
All I'm going to say is, please, if you're going to attend the budget hearing on Friday, get in touch with either Mr. Hopkins or Administrator Wilson, and let everybody know that you're going to be there this Friday. That's the end of my President's report.
We have no old
Or
business.
the 21st.
We move to new business. Zoning case P-1016 in regards to ordinance number 5620, 2016, property located on the southwest corner of North Market and Pine Hill. John Harris, applicant.
Move to advance.
Moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
We'll send Globo the rest of the items on the
What
agenda.
happened to,
That's I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Johnson, do you want to speak on your motion?
Yes, I would like to get some
Okay.
clarification on this from Mr. Sweeney.
Pardon me, Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Yes, sir.
Since y'all gonna do that, I might as well try to get all my information I need.
Okay. In which case are we making
On
reference?
case P-1016,
P-1016, yes, sir.
what is this and what are they trying to do?
Okay. This is an attempt to put in a used car sales and services facility that's going to be in that area that is along North Market that you know is in the process of transitioning to primarily a lot of commercial activity. We've had several cases in that area in recent years and anticipate more cases where the opportunity is to turn some of the prime property into commercial activity. This will take an existing house and convert it into an office. There will be used car sales as well as service repair on this site as well.
Okay, this would be a small car lot.
Yes,
Assuming
this is
by
not
the-
a large one.
By the map.
In fact, it's only 0.78 acres, so it's not terribly large.
Right, what about egress and into the parking lot? I mean, coming off of
Sure.
Highway 1 and Pine Hill, are you gonna be coming off of, because the map doesn't show, you coming off North Market or
Right.
you coming off Pine Hill?
And we will be reviewing this through the site plan procedures that I mentioned to you. And Jim Ollier will be involved in making certain that the access points that do lead into the site are done appropriately. So that will be part of the review and analysis before that site plan is approved.
Okay, and that'll be done before we actually make a vote on it?
That will be done after you have approved the zoning.
Okay. All right. The next one would be case P1316.
16, okay. Sir?
What are they doing and all of that?
Okay. And this is an example, okay, P1316, if I got the right one. Yeah, this is for the new Wendy's that's going to go up there off of Market Street. Again, you've got a lot of development pressure that's occurring because of I-49, and so this will be in the new Wendy's, and they're asking for the rezoning from RA to B3, and this too will be reviewed and approved through the site plan procedures. And again, access and ingress on this property will be dictated by LADOTD in terms of what they will allow.
That's fine, thank you. Can I ask my other question since we're gonna try to englobe all this stuff?
Right ahead, you have the floor.
All right, on number 11, y'all, I'm through with you, Mr. Sweeney. I'm on.
Okay.
down here.
Stay there, though, stay there.
I'll stay here.
Or sit, or whatever.
Number 11, that's being sponsored by Commissioner Jackson. What is that?
What we
Authorize and request detailed progress reports and updates. Last one before the consent agenda.
Oh, that is for, that's just for, hopefully the administrator or the attorney or someone will notify those three entities, Rouser, Regional Health Service Alliance, Independence Bowl, and
Paperwork Motor Sports.
For the
Yeah.
hotel motel tax.
yeah,
Hotel motel tax.
That's it.
And I think they also get a piece. Do they get a piece of the RV? Is that like tax on RVs or campers or something?
Not that I know of.
Not
was-
that I'm aware.
It was. Y'all might want to check. It was specified in the legislation, I believe. But
I read it.
I don't know. But that's what that is.
What number? It's not the
11.
bike thing.
No. This is 11. Right before consent agenda. It says authorize and request detailed progress. And I wanted to give them some time
Yes, sir.
to get their stuff together because I know Commissioner Epperson is absent, but he may have some questions as well. So I just wanted to, this would basically give them the notice to come down, basically.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioner Bowman, did you want to speak on your second?
No, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, you have the floor.
Move to englobo the rest of the items on the agenda.
How's she on the floor? She's not on the floor.
Oh, she's on the board.
She's not on the board?
Yes,
she was
on the board.
When they had to miss her.
Trust me, she been trying to be on that board since we
Because he had
started.
skipped.
I'll second her motion.
Motion to englobo by
It's
Commissioner
motion to
Stormy Gage Watts,
englobo
second by
ordinances.
Commissioner
Motions-
Jackson.
The motion should be to englobo introduction of ordinances, resolutions, and authorizations.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you. That is what she said. So that was made by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, second by Commissioner Jackson.
Y'all would never let me do that.
He can read it back.
Sound like playground.
Commissioner
Ask
Stormy Gage
questions.
Watts, you want to speak on your motion?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I did have a question on the zoning. Can I ask the questions on the zoning here? Not for you, Mark. Is it okay to ask my questions on the zoning here? I was just checking to see if these were in the TIF. If any of these were in the little TIF, the Wendy's. Okay, not the Carlisle. All right.
Commissioner Dominic.
Is the Globo the remaining, is it basically remaining?
Yes, it's all
Yes.
the entire new
Mark.
business.
Mr. Sweeney, can you come up real quick? If you stay. Now, where's the Wendy's gonna be at?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I don't mind your district, I just wanna know where it's, where, I know, where,
Let me put my glasses on, I can tell you. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, exactly.
May I say something? I believe, aren't they closing the Dairy Queen and? From what I understand, they're closing that Dairy Queen and it may be in that area.
It's possible. When I'm looking at this, it shows that it's right there.
Mr. Ward's
5700 block of North Market Street, northeast side of North Market, about 1,075 feet from LA 538.
Ken, you know where it's at?
South of 530.
Approach the mic,
Whoa, whoa,
Mr.
come
Ward.
on.
Approach the mic.
I know where the Walmart red light is. Is it gonna be on the left side or
On the
right?
east side. On the side where there's all woods right now.
By on the
It's an old
Walmart side?
It's an old house over there.
There's an old house there. It's just
I know exactly.
by the red light.
All right, guys, I've got the floor. I've got 2 or 3 people talking. Mr. Ward,
Yes, sir.
I've got 2 or 3 people talking, so I'm a little bit confused, okay? So is it on the Walmart side or Trejo's side?
On the trail side.
Okay. All right, the next question I have is concerning, I guess is a resolution that's going to, number 71, supporting the transportation mayors and local elected officials. I was talking briefly to Commissioner Jackson about this. The question I have is, I'm not against this. Is this going to, or can someone answer, is this going to cost the parish any money if we vote on this resolution, or do we know yet? This is at number 71.
Yes, sir. I'm familiar with it. It kind of depends on how well we go. We could participate and just kind of submit the information that we have now, which would just take parish staff to do, or we could actually be a member participating in it, which could take funds by either help hiring a consultant to help us get all the way through complete streets and further our efforts. The biggest thing is by participating. It's going to cost something, whether it's parish staff or it's actually hiring, having to do furthermore to complete the 7 challenges. There isn't any grant funding for this, so it's all going to be having to be paid by somebody.
Commissioner Jackson, can you explain this a little bit? There's
Yeah.
from talking to you a while ago, it was your intent. I guess it's amending a prior resolution, but the intent on this is not for the parish to really be out of any funds or monies to have to hire additional consultants or anything to that effect.
Yeah,
Can you explain what our intent on this is?
Right, and I don't know where that's coming from for us to hire anybody. And I pointed out, if you read the last whereas, it says, there's an underline on it that says, whereas the Caddo Parish Commission adopt Resolution 30 during its regular and legal session convened and strongly supports the mayors and local officials' challenge for safer people and safer streets to the extent economically and otherwise feasible. Right. So if we run into something that costs money and we say that it's not something that we want to pay for, and we don't have to do it, this does not obligate us to do anything. This is just saying that we have taken steps. Some of the stuff where it says educate and enforce proper road use behavior by all, that's what we talked about with the bicycle pedestrian master plan that we are applying for that grant for. Improve walking and biking safety laws and regulations. That's us here passing policies out in the parish where I think Commissioner Johnson has some bicycle pedestrian stuff out there in his area. So this does not require us to spend one single dime, and it does not commit us to spending one dime. When we go to apply for USDOT grants, though, they will want to know, are you participating as a part of the mayor's and local elected officials challenge? And this makes our applications look good when they're scoring your application, so your grant application. So that's all this is. So it's not committing us to anything. It's not saying that we have to spend anything. That's all it is. It's just saying we want to participate, because when you look at the map, everybody's on there but Shreveport and Caddo. So, but we've already taken some steps in our bicycle pedestrian master plan, the UDC, some of the work that's taking place in the UDC mark, address pedestrian friendliness. It goes a long way with doing that stuff. So we've already done a lot of what this stuff is, and you can also submit past information as well, what we've done up to this date. We can submit that to be a part of this challenge.
Commissioner Dominic, you still have the floor.
Yeah, the only thing is, when we do those in Globo, it may be better to in Globo the ordinances and in Globo the resolutions, and that way we don't have so many questions going everywhere. But I think all of my questions have been answered with regard to everything, so I'll yield the floor to the next commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Chavez.
This is going to be for Mr. Hopkins on the resolution for the subcommittee for the monument. If we have a an amendment to make on that. Can that be added on Thursday? Okay, then I have nothing else, President. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Atkins?
I just wanted to get Dr. Wilson's thoughts from the administration on the mayor's and elected officials challenge, and if that causes any concern to the administration, or does it disrupt any of our activities, or encumber us in any way?
No, sir, it doesn't encumber us because just based on what Commissioner Jackson just said, I think the intent was to put forth the information we already have and not execute any of the 7 challenges that will require us to go beyond putting any resources into.
Is that,
Yeah. Thank you, Dr.
is
Wilson.
that everything, Commissioner Atkins? Commissioner Johnson?
Call for the question.
Second.
Question's been called by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Chavez. Please
You say
vote.
Say,
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
like I need somebody to, hey man, let it go.
Calm down. I'm gonna find your keys in a minute.
All right. Question has been called. Please vote.
Are they voting in global?
Yeah.
All right.
Next, we have consent agenda.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Means adjourn. Sweet.
We never voted on her, motion.
What? We just voted on.
What do you mean? We just did it.
You voted.
That was your baby. You did it. Thank you.
I voted to call for the question.
Yeah,
you sure
and then you
did.
voted
Voted
again.
one time, I ain't voted one
No,
time.
we
You
have
voted twice.
previous motion.
Because it said 11. Look, see you? You voted.
Yeah, we voted twice.
We voted for the question, did we vote twice?
Yeah, we voted twice. Mr. Hopkins, did we vote
We
twice?
voted for the question. We had a motion on the floor, and we voted on that motion to substitute her.
Right, okay, that's what I thought.
All
Okay.
right.
All right, you giving me a heart attack there.
LB's got me confused now.
I don't remember voting one time.
You didn't even know to click this twice.
It's all right.